Blessings, everyone. Today I would like to share an oracle reading from Messages of the Guides. And this is just an amazing deck from James Van Praagh, who has been an incredible mentor, a teacher for me. I've done many of his classes and worked with James and had readings from James. Just an incredible being of service here, and I highly recommend, if anybody hasn't looked out at his James Van Praagh school, he has courses there that if you're feeling the pull to be a medium or spiritual healing, that his hands-on courses, as well as the videos that he uploads that kind of walks everybody through things, is just, he's one of the best as far as being able to get those who are new just learning to explore their spiritual aspects, to connect. He is definitely the real deal. And so the reason why I picked this deck is because sometimes we just need a simple message from our guides that is kind of like a contemplation, or what would we say, a mantra that we can kind of focus on through the day. We're not looking for the complicated messages. We've had enough downloads. We've had enough time meditating, and sometimes we just need the directive. And so that's what I love about this deck, is because it holds the energy. It has that energy. But at the same time, the messages are clear, precise, and when we listen, when we're listening, when we're receiving these messages through the oracle, we understand that we become that. We are the oracle. We are the message receivers, but we also share this. And so sometimes not everybody is in that place where they're feeling like they're in an awakened state or they're in expanded consciousness. And simple messages sometimes are the best. That's definitely. So as I'm connecting, first, I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be this medium of light. And I ask these beautiful messengers, our guides, and our mentors in spirit to please step forward and help bring a message for the highest good for the collective. Thank you. I'm grateful. And what I do is I take the cards and I shuffle. That represents an energetic movement for me. And the first one is always Source, Universe. The second shuffle embodies higher self and spirit. And then the third is the soul. And that is like the part of our higher self that comes to explore, experience, expand, dance with the personality, and express joy and love. Then what I do is I just kind of move the cards around, and spirit they'll let me know which one they want to take and bring a message. So they're saying, bring this one. Take responsibility for your actions. And as I'm connecting and I'm listening, the guides are saying that this is one of the most profound places that we can come from in our healing journey. That a lot of times we hear these words, take responsibility for our actions. And we say we are taking responsibility. If we've wronged someone, we're admitting to it. If we made a bad choice financially and lost some funds that we were saving, we're taking responsibility. I take responsibility every day when I make choices with what I'm eating. I'm taking responsibility politically with how I'm voting. Yes, I'm taking responsibility. What does that mean? And Spirit is saying that a lot of times we forget when we are working to raise our consciousness, when we're working from the space of spirit, and heart. That taking responsibility also means that we have to be able to step forward into what we're asking for. That, yes, Spirit is there to meet us halfway. Yes, our guides are there, nudging us, encouraging us. And the angels are there whispering in our ears and our dreams. And our loved ones are cheering us on. They're sending us all kinds of synchronicities, messages. But what are we doing? What are we doing taking responsibility to understand that we chose to be here? And that is always a very, very difficult and touchy subject for so many here. We want to do the spiritual bypass. But taking responsibility means that if we see ourselves in a new career, if we see ourselves in a healing whole body, if we see ourselves being of service, if we see ourselves abundant, which we always should, we're never lacking, really, then we need to take responsibility and step into that space in a place of trust. Because trust, when working with our higher selves and our guides and spirit, all in the unseen worlds, even our galactic family, there's a trust. We trust our intuition. If we have that gut feeling when we're driving along the road that, oh, you know what, there might be a lot of traffic today, let's take a different route. How do we know that? Because we've seen it happen a few times, and when we're working with the idea that we know there's traffic on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock on this highway. So we change our route. And it's the same thing with taking responsibility for our actions. That doesn't just mean that we're saying we're sorry because we know we hurt someone's feelings. We're not just taking responsibility for the fact that, okay, we didn't like who was inaugurated in office and I didn't vote this year, so I'm taking responsibility. I'm part of the reason why it didn't go the way it should have. And we have so many different things, but Spirit is adamant about this one. The saying take responsibility is recognizing that remember, we chose to be here during this time. And Spirit will not take the lessons away. Being spiritual and expanding our consciousness doesn't mean that we're going to live a life where there isn't any lessons or challenges. It means that the spirituality helps us navigate. It's kind of like the second set of eyes, and a higher perspective that we can take to navigate through all of this, our school. But taking responsibility means if we want that new career, what are we doing in the physical to work towards that? Being spiritual doesn't mean that you're saying that we're sitting back and we're surrendering and allowing everything. Yes. We do need to surrender sometimes the timing. Sometimes we have to step into that new career by simply starting to take a class or open up the Help Wanted ads and look online for a new job. It means that we're motivated and we're rising up in some way. If it's we want to sell our art, we have to start painting. We have to get into it. We have to surrender to that. If we want to create our own business, is that what's going to make us happy? What are we doing? What space are we creating for that? Abundance. Everybody talks about manifesting and abundance. And what is that really? When we're saying we're looking for abundance, we want abundance, what we're saying to the universe is we are looking around and we're feeling lacking. We feel like we don't have what we need. And that's taking responsibility. Saying, why don't we? Yes, the world is a hard place and sometimes it's really unfair. And sometimes we're not going to make the money we need. We're making minimum wage and we're busting our butt. Or maybe just when we thought we climbed to the top of the ladder, we wound up with a incurable disease. Or maybe we had a house fire and half of our things are gone. There's so many things that each individual part of the whole came here to experience and understand. And there's nothing that's any more or less difficult for each individual. But taking responsibility is saying, okay, maybe I do have this illness. What am I doing? Am I going to just succumb to this? Am I giving up? Or am I going to fight? Am I going to start looking for resources? What are my options? That's where the universe meets us there. When we take responsibility, we help direct the universe to show us what is for our highest good. What is for the highest good of the whole. And sometimes things are not going to happen a certain way, the universe is saying, because it isn't for the highest good. If something is difficult that we are needing to go through, it's worth it. Sometimes things will just fall in our lap and it's what we like to call a miracle. But somewhere along the line, there were things that we've done in life that we've taken responsibility for that rose us up into a space that opened the options and the opportunities for the miracles. They're always around us. There's always these opportunities, but we have to take responsibility to see it. And we have to understand that sometimes it's not going to come exactly how we imagined it. But it's enough that we have that fire and that drive for the right reasons with integrity to accomplish anything that we set ourselves out to do. And this is what's important. Taking responsibility, yes. Always say we're sorry. That is a part of this. Always acknowledge when maybe there's been a shortcoming in our eyes. We're just going to try a different way of doing things. But make sure they're saying that if we're taking responsibility by saying we're sorry to someone, it's not just to keep the peace. It's not just to make others happy, but because we've thought about our actions, we've thought about our words, and we recognize where we could have made different choices. And then we recognize how much we've affected the other people. And we want to heal that. We say we're sorry, we take responsibility when we're ready to acknowledge that there's a better way. This isn't about being wrong. It's not about being right. It's not about just keeping the peace. It's about understanding how we got to the space and what our role is in this space. Taking responsibility for our part in whatever is going on around us. And so today they're saying, ask ourselves, if we're overwhelmed by something, are we taking responsibility to help calm ourselves down? Are we seeing our role in this? If it feels like life is happening around us and it's chaos, are we taking responsibility and being the calm in the storm? Are we taking responsibility to tell ourselves that we're worth that? That's one of the biggest steps. The biggest steps that the guides are saying is to trust and understanding that this is why we're here and we are worth this. We are a divine expression of Source. And so, knowing what we're surrendering and why we're surrendering is important, but also taking responsibility for how it begins and why. Knowing why. Sometimes we go through the day and we're doing things and it's almost like we're numb. We're on airplane mode. We're in survival mode and we're just going and we're going and we're going. And sometimes that happens, especially for the caregivers out there. Spirit's talking about those who are are working with those who are having difficulties, and you're a caregiver, and you're surrendering just about every part of your day so someone else may have comfort, someone else is safe because they're not able to be in their own space. Take responsibility and understand that as we're going through this, we have to be responsible for our good health and our good space. Even if it means 5 minutes of listening to the favorite song, just to calm down, just to recharge. We know the old saying, you can't give from an unfilled cup. And so this is part. Taking responsibility means that we know that we're worth a moment as a caregiver, and that is how we give from that space, because we're constantly refurbishing and refilling. And if we are not able to, then we have to take responsibility to then seek out someone or a place or something that can help us with that. It's a cycle. It doesn't just begin and end with us. Taking responsibility is knowing what the question is, what the challenge is, and understanding where to find the answer. Taking responsibility means that we can have all the information we want in the world, or we can pick up a screwdriver and know how to turn the screw because we have the experience, we have the knowledge. We could look it up on YouTube and watch someone put together a dresser from IKEA. We could have had the experience. But when it becomes wisdom is when we know how to apply both. And this is what life is about. This is what taking responsibility is about, is understanding the knowledge and then the experience and having the wisdom to take action. And they're pulling their energy back. I hope this reading finds you well. And I hope that we can all have that moment today where we can contemplate where are we taking action? Are we taking action from a space of integrity? Are we taking action from a space of wisdom? Applied knowledge is beautiful. Experience is integral. But action, as they say, speaks louder than the words. So many beautiful blessings, everyone. Much love. Thank you for letting me share this message today.